Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Out Loud. Today we got a quick video for you. Obviously independent media has been covering the absolute horror show of what has been going on in Gaza. And now that the ceasefire has ended, I thought it would be useful to go back and look at some of this absolutely genocidal, bloodthirsty, eugenic, racist language coming out of not just Israeli officials, not just IDF leaders, but Israeli society as a whole, right, guys? So we're going to try to keep this video pretty short. I'm going to jump right into it and show you guys some stuff. So this first little article / video I have for you is pretty shocking, pretty disturbing. It's literally a choir of children openly calling for genocide. Now, some of you may have already seen this through other independent media or something, but I just absolutely had to cover it because it just shows how deeply embedded this racism, this concept of an ethno-state is in Israel, right, guys? So we'll jump over here and take a look at this for you guys. So this is from the Electronic Intifada. The Electronic Intifada, if you guys aren't aware of the Electronic Intifada, it's going to be your number one resource for anything involving Palestine, and not just Palestine, but the surrounding area as well, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, but with a specific emphasis on Palestine, obviously, with the name Intifada. You can make that assumption, right? So jumping in here, guys, says, watch Israeli children sing, "We will annihilate everyone in Gaza." And no, this isn't a joke or a spoof. I'd like to believe that it was, even if it was a deeply fucked up joke, but it's 100% real. So we'll jump in here, guys. Says, Israel's national broadcaster Khan uploaded this song to X, formerly Twitter, in which Israeli children sing in celebration and support for the Israeli army's mass extermination campaign of Palestinians in Gaza. Quote here from the song, "Autumn nights falls over the beach of Gaza. Planes are bombing, destruction, destruction," the children sing in angelic voices. "Within a year, we will annihilate everyone, and then we will return to plow our fields." Guys, I mean, this is some, and I'm going to play the video here in a second, I apologize, but this is some absolutely Nazi-level shit. And just wait until you see the video here. I'm going to play it here in a second. Let's go ahead here, guys. I'll blow this up here for you guys. And I will, 1 second here. I will, for those of you just listening, I will let this play through. It's in Hebrew, I believe. But then after I'll read, they have a transcript of the entire lyrics. I'll go ahead and read those for you guys immediately after this, all right? So for those of you watching, you can obviously check out the subtitles. For those of you listening, I'm sorry. This will just be like 3 minutes here. All right, let's do it. Yeah, so there you have it, guys. Pretty fucking wild to see. I mean, that level of propaganda with alongside, obviously, the song itself is incredibly disturbing. The lyrics in it, you know, and then seeing it alongside such a fucking brazen propaganda video. Pretty rough stuff. I'm going to go in here, guys, and for those of you that are just listening, I'm going to read the lyrics here. So the song is called The Friendship Song 2023. First stanza says, autumn nights falls over the beach of Gaza. Planes are bombing, destruction, destruction. Look, the IDF is crossing the line to annihilate the swastika bearers. Again, making another reference to Palestinians somehow being anti-Semitic, somehow being Nazis. Meanwhile, they're the ones literally being genocided, ethnically cleansed from their homelands, right? The first stanza goes on to say, in another year, there will be nothing there, and we will safely return to our homes. Within a year, we will annihilate everyone, and then we will return to plow our fields. Chorus, and we will remember everyone, the pretty and the pure. We will never let our hearts forget a friendship like that. Love sanctified with blood. You will return and bloom amongst us. We have now run out of words. Our soul still cries out. Our soul not only sings, today our soul also fights. One people, the people of forever, evermore. We won't stop protecting our homes. We won't be silent. We will show the world how today we destroy our enemy. So yeah, guys, pretty rough to even look at or read. Just another, not only an example of the sort of hateful, eugenic, ethno-state related rhetoric that's coming not just out of Israeli officials, but from the culture as a whole, because now you have several generations of Israeli settlers that have been inculcated with this deeply Jewish supremacist, really white supremacist rhetoric, right? This Zionist line that is incredibly fucking hateful and xenophobic and Islamophobic, obviously. I do have a little bit more reading here with this guy. It says, incitement to genocide is a crime. Khan, the Israeli broadcaster, posted the full video of the song on its X account, that's Twitter, on Sunday, but deleted it a short time later amid an outcry from Israeli and other users. Some expressed concern that it would help Hamas propaganda. Just hilarious that is the concern of some of the Israelis telling him to take this down, that this was a mistake to post this, that they're worried that that our genocidal rhetoric will feed into the quote-unquote Hamas propaganda. Meanwhile, the actual truth that Hamas is saying, that other resistance organizations, Palestinians in general, saying is that this is a fucking genocide, that these people are out to fucking literally exterminate us, right? So it'll help Hamas propaganda. That's what they're worried about. Great. Just fucking insane. While others appear genuinely disgusted by the video's violent and genocidal messages. I would hope so. Some information here, guys. 2 decades ago, officials of Radio Televisión Libre des Mille Colonies were convicted by an international tribunal for incitement to genocide for broadcasts promoting the extermination of Tutsi people in Rwanda 9 years earlier. So I'm sure most people watching this show have heard of the genocide in Rwanda that occurred in the 90s. And what they're saying here with this little tidbit is there is a precedent for this, almost this exact situation, this exact sort of genocidal propaganda resulting in people being convicted for incitement of genocide, right? So we have a precedent for that, right? Some information here, guys, on the PR firm that put this out. PR firm for ethnic cleansers. The video was published by The Civil Front. Incredibly fascist sounding right off the bat. An organization run by Ofer Rosenbaum that purports to rally the Israeli home front in support of the war on Gaza. In 2020, Rosenbaum was responsible for a billboard campaign in Tel Aviv depicting Palestinian Authority leader Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh kneeling on the ground blindfolded under the slogan, "Peace is only made with defeated enemies." Okay, so this is the PR firm that put this song out, right? Same guy, same organization, right? The client for this campaign was the Israel Victory Project. Again, sounds deeply fascistic. A cutout from the Middle East Forum, the organization run by notorious anti-Muslim agitator Daniel Pipes. The Israeli Victory Project is currently promoting ethnic cleansing of the Gaza Strip. I apologize, guys. I cannot talk today. So this is an excerpt here from the Israel Victory Project, a tweet. Minister of Intelligence writes in the Jerusalem Post, #victory is an opportunity for Israel in the midst of crisis. She calls for international assistance for voluntary resettlement of Gazans outside of the Strip. So right there in this tweet, we have this organization calling for open ethnic cleansing. Get them the fuck out of here. They're saying October. I mean, it's just also deeply cynical on their own behalf. They're saying the murder of our people, the killing of our people on this quote unquote terrorist attack, October 7th, is an opportunity to ethnically cleanse Gaza, which is already a concentration camp. I mean, you could really think about what's happening in the Gaza Strip as tantamount to the liquidation of the Warsaw Ghetto in Poland, right? It's a very similar process. And one could say this is even more egregious in a lot of ways, right? Yeah, so let's go on here. It says Rosenbaum also took on as a client Malka Leifer, a former principal of a Jewish girls' school in Melbourne, who spent years trying to avoid extradition from Israel back to Australia to face charges of child sexual abuse. So if you guys remember a couple episodes back, Israel's Open Secret, we talked about Malka Leifer, or Leifer, however you want to say it, and how Israel, for many decades now, really since its inception, has been a safe haven for criminals of all kinds, terrorists, fraudsters, all kinds of people, including sexual predators, including pedophiles. And we had a whole list of different sexual predators that had hid with Jewish ancestry, that used the law of return to return and hide out in Israel, because Israel almost never extradites anyone, even with a ton of political pressure. In some cases, we saw it took a decade or more to get them extradited to the country where they had done their crimes. So this is that same person, Malka Leifer, right? Rosenbaum claimed later to regret this decision, albeit only after the effort to stop Leifer's extradition failed in 2021. Using children to promote a message of genocide is another form of abuse. I don't think we should have to say that. More child abuse out of Israel, right? Let's see what else here. So that's all I have for that, guys. But I did want to jump into this other article from the New Arab, because now a lot of this stuff I'm sure you guys have seen going through independent media, but I liked this article because it's just rapid fire, boom, 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 boom. We're going to plow through it and give you all the different examples of all the different IDF and Israeli government officials putting out deeply racist, deeply genocidal rhetoric, right? And just give you an entire encapsulating view between that video with the children, the propaganda video, all these different statements of how this isn't a war in Gaza. This is genocide. This is ethnic cleansing. And it's not just officials and things like that in a the West would, certain media outlets and political circles in the West would have you believe this is just Netanyahu, but it is not. It is the core basis of Israeli society. And we're seeing it all, open, throwing open the trench coat with Israel's dick out on the street of New York type of situation. Do you know what I mean? So just incredibly crazy to see. So we're going to jump into this reading here, guys. Again, try to keep it short. So this is from the New Arab. Says, erase Gaza, how genocidal rhetoric became normalized in Israel. And we're just going to rapid fire through this here, guys. Different quotes from different officials, right? So jumping in says, we are fighting human animals and we are acting accordingly, Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant said, describing the Israeli military's response just days after Hamas attack, quote unquote, again, we will eliminate everything. They will regret it, Gallant added. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, meanwhile, evoked a biblical analogy referring to the Israelites' enemy, largely interpreted as a genocidal call to wipe out Gaza. We have the quote here, says, you must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. We do remember, he said during an official video statement. So that, and that was the Prime Minister quoting that Bible verse. to justify what's going on in Gaza, the murdering of innocent people, right? And this is something I want to point out too, just along with that, and then I'll barrel through this here. All you have to remember, all of Zionist claims, all of Israeli claims that they have a right to the land is based on biblical prophecy, on scripture. It's a fucking theocracy on top of an ethno-state, right? And there's been, throughout the history of the Levant, of the region of Palestine and surrounding areas, there has been an innumerable amount of ethnic groups and religious groups and spiritual belief systems and whatever, living there, passing through there, coexisting there for thousands of fucking years, right? And Israel's claim that they have to take all this over and bring in white European rooted Jews into this area where you have Arabs of multiple stripes, including Jews living, is that the Bible tells them it's okay. It's the same type, for liberals that aren't understanding this, it's the same type of shit that we're dealing with Christian evangelicals here in the U.S. People that base their entire perception of reality on religious scripture, and religious scripture that has been incredibly warped and twisted to serve a political and social agenda, right? It's the same thing. And in that vein, this is also why the number one supporter of Israel is not American Jews, isn't even the amount of people living in Israel. It is, or Israelis living in Israel. It's Christian evangelicists, Christian fundamentalists, right? Okay, let's go on here, guys. We got more quotes here. It says, there will be no electricity and no water in Gaza. There will only be destruction. You wanted hell. You will get hell. This is from Major General Ghassan Alian, who heads the Israeli Army's coordination of government activities in Palestinian territories. Moshe Feiglin, and I am so sorry about these names here, guys. I am not versed in pronunciation of Hebrew, or for that matter, Arabic, to be completely candid with you guys. So Moshe, the founder of Israel's right-wing Zehut party and former Likud representative in Israel's parliament, has also called for the complete destruction of Gaza. There is one and only one solution, which is to completely destroy Gaza before invading it. I mean destruction like what happened in Dresden and Hiroshima. Obviously, you guys, without nuclear weapons, he said. So Hiroshima, you obviously know of, U.S. dropping nuclear weapon on Hiroshima. Some of you may not know the firebombing of Dresden. Dresden was a city on the eastern side of the eastern border, I believe, of Germany. And it had no military purpose. It had no real military garrison. It had no real military infrastructure or military industrial complex like the production of weapons or anything like that. I think it had a cigarette factory and a boot factory in it. And the Allies, the U.S. bombers, bombed it into oblivion like a fucking moonscape, right? And killed like 60,000 people, and I believe, don't quote me, I believe it was 60,000 people in a single night. And if you ever read any Kurt Vonnegut, particularly his book Slaughterhouse-Five, also known as The Children's Crusade, Kurt Vonnegut was there during that bombing, and the name of the book's called Slaughterhouse-Five because the only reason he survived is they were in a meat cooler in the basement of the slaughterhouse, right? So he's calling to do that to Gaza. In another statement, Feiglin said Israel's end goal should not be to eliminate Hamas, but rather Gaza should be raised and Israel's rule should be restored to the place. This is our country. So if you believe anything that any of these people are saying about we're trying to destroy Hamas, bullshit. Besides, you don't destroy an underground militant group by carpet bombing an entire city. That is not how it works. Halevi, meanwhile, a Likud member in parliament, said there should be two goals for this victory. One, there is no more Muslim land in the land of Israel. After we make it the land of Israel, Gaza should be left as a monument like Sodom. For those of you who don't know your biblical history, your Bible stories, Sodom and Gomorrah was a couple of cities in the Old Testament that were apparently so hedonistic that God purged them from the earth with like hellfire coming from the sky. It's crazy to see the biblical theocratic stuff in line with the ethno. It's just insane. Some Israeli politicians have outright called for a repeat of the Nakba. The Nakba, as we've talked about, or I'm hoping a lot of you guys know, is the initial purge, ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from Israel. Or catastrophe in Arabic, when hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were expelled and hundreds of villages demolished from 1947 to 1948 as the state of Israel was being established. Quote unquote here from Nassim Vaturi, Nakba, expel them all. Deputy Speaker of Israel's parliament said, if the Egyptians care so much for them, they are welcome to have them wrapped in cellophane, tied with a green ribbon. Ariel Kalner, a member of Israel's parliament, said, Nakba to the enemy now. This day is our Pearl Harbor. We will still learn the lessons. Right now, one goal, Nakba. A Nakba that will overshadow the Nakba of 48, a Nakba in Gaza, and a Nakba for anyone who dares to join. And I had seen some statistics recently that suggest that we have now, with what's been going on in Gaza, overcome the initial death toll and displacement numbers of the original Nakba in 47-48. If you have any, doubts about what's actually happening here, right? Going on here says, Yinan Magal, a journalist and politician, said, it is time for Nakba 2. In another post on social media platform X, Magal captioned a picture of a carpet-bombed neighborhood. This is how all of Gaza should look. Israeli Heritage Minister Amichai Eliyahu said in a radio interview that dropping an atomic bomb on Gaza was a possible tactic Israel could employ. Your expectation is that tomorrow morning we drop what amounts to some kind of a nuclear bomb on all of Gaza, flattening them, eliminating everybody there. That's one way, Eliyahu responded. He then walked back his comments saying it was metaphorical. Bull fucking shit. Metaphorical. Let's see, how much do I have? Yeah, we're almost done here, guys. I'm sorry, but I mean, it's just crazy that I'm reading so much of these and I'm like, when's it going to end? But it keeps going. And this is like not even all. I imagine scrolling through Israeli social media from everyday people too, which going on here says, this inflammatory rhetoric has been replicated online. An investigation from Palestinian digital rights organization 7Amla found that the social media behemoth Facebook approved adverts calling to wipe out Gaza, its women, children, and elderly, as well as to kill Palestinians, burn down Gaza, deport Palestinians to other countries, and carry out a second Nakba. So I want to make another little note here with this segment. Facebook is notorious for this kind of shit. I don't have exact anecdotes of this, but if you ever watch the documentary The Social Dilemma, it talks about some of this, and Facebook has been in hot water and interviewed by Congress and has had all kinds of sanctions and other problems in countries overseas because of things like this, where they approved advertisements or permitted posts to be circulated that would call for ethnic cleansing or call for civil war. And we have actually seen genocides, attempts at ethnic cleansing, and civil wars happen in countries in the developing world as a direct result of Facebook's carelessness around these kind of policies of what sort of content it allows online. And it's fucking disgusting because any of you who is involved or terminally online, unfortunately, like your boy here, you have seen your posts get purged for weird ass random shit, even from years back sometimes, over the smallest fucking thing. And then you will see shit like this. Open calls for genocide, people using open racial slurs, using open hateful rhetoric, just being allowed to post forever. Meanwhile, when you post things that are counter to the narrative that mainstream media, that political and corporate elites don't want people to hear, you'll get purged, right? Seen it many, many times. A little perspective here, guys, says Palestinian journalist Ramzi Baroud said Israel, as a settler colonial society, is continuously expanding its territory and using genocidal language to justify its colonization. For territorial expansion to happen, the natives of the land must be dehumanized completely or their very existence denied, Baroud said. In 1969, former Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir stated, "There was no such thing as Palestinians." This year, in March, far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich repeated the same claim, saying there's no such thing as a Palestinian people. And what's fucking disgusting, it's one thing coming from Israelis, but you will have liberals here in the U.S. repeating this shit, and they will go on and on and on about anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, they are using genocidal rhetoric in the denunciation, in the denial that there are a Palestinian people. You know, that's the same kind of shit of people you hear crazy ass motherfuckers say denying the Holocaust or denying that Native people were here. I mean, it's insane to me. Like, liberals, please, if you're watching this, wake the fuck up to what you're saying. You are a useful idiot, a tool of the ruling class that's perpetuating colonization and genocide. This is what happens when you don't read and you just plug into fucking MSM, you know? Last little bit here says the West doesn't condemn it because the West is financing it, Baroud said. Since the war began, the U.S., U.K., and European countries have spent large sums of arms equipment. Yeah, obviously you know all this, guys. When you start mainstreaming this language, Baroud said, it's hard to imagine the outcome in Israel is going to be a society in which Palestinians can coexist. And this is the crux of it all here. Like, where do we go? What do we do? What do Palestinians do? The Israeli state has shit on the Oslo Accords for 2 decades now. Shit on them. Which the Oslo Accords were an agreement between Palestinian organizations, groups, civil leaders, and the Israeli state to come up with the sort of quote-unquote two-state solution that you always hear about. That there's an Israeli state and there's a Palestinian state and both are sovereign and both have equal rights and this and that. Israel has done everything in its power since the Oslo Accords to make sure that never fucking happens, despite the endless amount of concessions that Palestinians have made to the Israeli settlers, right? And then you start looking at that, and the two-state solution is dead in the water, and it has been for a long time. And what does that leave? That leaves a one-state solution, right? And we are not going to get a one-state solution with the Israeli settler Zionist state in power the way it is now. There is no resolution to this except an intifada, a deep revolutionary mass movement, perhaps in conjunction with other groups in the region, Hezbollah, Iran, whatever it looks like, and I'm not saying throw Zionist Jews out of the country. I'm not saying throw Israelis out of the country back into the sea. That is not what anyone is saying. That is not what I'm saying. But pressing the Israeli state and the Israeli people enough to a point that they're willing to capitulate to creating a new, actual secular democracy. Even if it's a fucking bullshit liberal bourgeois democracy, something that has the capacity to get to a stage of truth and reconciliation in that region. If we do not have that, if the actions and developments politically do not happen that allow that to be an outcome, this will go on until every single Palestinian is displaced or dead. And that is the reality. And you have to, in life, you have to pick a side to be on. Liberals do this all at the center. Obviously, always center. In life, you have to pick a fucking side to be on. There is no other choice, because if you don't pick a side, you've put yourself on the side of the people killing fucking children. This is what it is, and it is not up for debate. So pick a motherfucking side. Right. Anyway, Jesus, I didn't expect to go on such a rant, but you know, it is what it is. That's what I do on this channel. We're thinking out loud, right? But yeah, guys, this is really all I have for you. I just want to make this quick video going over some of this absolutely crazy genocidal rhetoric. We're hitting about 30 minutes here, so I'm just going to round it off quick. If you like this content, please like, please subscribe, send it to your friends, drop a comment, help that algorithm, all that good stuff. If you want to support my independent media work, you can at Patreon, at patreon.com/entitledmillennials. You can join me there for $1 a month. Everyone watching this, you know, does $1 a month. Hell yeah, I'm an official YouTuber. You know, I could quit my fucking job and do this full time. 2 videos a day, whatever. Also, if you want to support my independent media work, you can do one-time donations at PayPal at paypal.me/entitledmillennials. Those are always greatly appreciated, guys. I think you really helped me get Christmas presents for my kiddo last year during a hard time when I had just lost my job. So Much love and solidarity always from you guys. Greatly appreciated. But yeah, guys, that's really all I have for you. So as always, I love hanging out with you guys, love talking about the issues, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Bye-bye.